Hello, my name is Hackett, and today I will be talking about an interpersonal conflict that I had with my parents. Some background on this conflict. After high school, I applied to colleges and I was accepted at Arizona State University, which I attended for 3 years. After high school, obviously, I went to attend Arizona State. The first year I did very well, but the second and third years I started to fall into bad habits, which affected my schoolwork. Being in college, obviously, and away from home caused a rift in my parents' and I's relationship. We began to communicate less, and our relationship became less of a high disclosure relationship. I began to utilize unhealthy conflict styles. In the past, we had a very validating conflict style, but it became more volatile as our relationship changed. The conflict was between my mother and father and I, both parties being my mother and father against me. The reason for the conflict was my standing in school. They suspected that I was not doing well in school because I began to engage in dangerous activities in college that shifted my focus away from my schoolwork. Our conflict was an expressed struggle where we were both aware of the disagreements that we had with one another. I became increasingly upset because of their criticism I was receiving during the conflict. This led to a lot of defensiveness. It led to my use of unhealthy conflict rituals, such as blaming my parents for our arguments, even though I could not recognize my own faults. This particular conflict consisted of very parallel conflict styles. Our conflict styles did not work well together, which brought about many new developments within the conflict. Our disagreements advanced through 3 main conflict styles that both parties use synchronously. We started off using an avoiding conflict style. At this point, we were both aware of our disagreements, but we chose to avoid the conflict in an effort to preserve our already unstable relationship. My parents then moved to a more accommodating conflict style in order to appease the anger that I was feeling towards them because of the criticism. At the same time, I continued to avoid conflict by ignoring their requests to talk, which only caused the conflict to further. And finally, when their attempts to settle the conflict and accommodate me did not perform, both of us began to use a competing conflict style. My parents were tired of the denial that I had of my actions. I became increasingly defensive to protect from their attacks. And this was because I knew I was not doing well, but I refused to tell the truth or come to terms with what was really happening. Eventually, our conflict came to a boiling point, and I was forced to tell the truth about my standing in school. In the end, my parents were more accommodating than they had been throughout the conflict. I ended up actually gaining more support from them by telling the truth and ending the conflict. Our conflict stirred up conversation that we had not previously been able to have because of my defensiveness, and we were able to talk about the reasons behind my failing grades. They were able to see that the reason why I was not doing well was because of mental health issues that had been undiagnosed and were holding me back from performing at my full potential. I was able to get my help I needed and return to California. Our relationship has grown from the conflict, and we're able to talk more openly about our issues because of the experience. In conclusion, although conflict is often difficult to navigate, it is a natural and healthy occurrence, which I've learned through this communications class. In most cases, it can turn out to have more beneficial consequences than negative consequences. And I think that's exactly what this conflict demonstrated. The outcome was beneficial, although the conflict was difficult to navigate and somewhat of a struggle. Thank you.